10 o'clock until 11 o'clock when I do this live show on personal development tips. Personal development tips. Tips stands for TIPS, stands for techniques, ideas, principles, and strategies. And what I do for 1 hour basically is I share some personal development tips for an hour. Now, if you have any questions or any comments or any particular thing that you'd like me to engage with, then please, please, please don't hesitate to text me on my mobile. The number is just there, 07956872114. Now, if you're watching this show after it's been aired and you're watching the recording, you can still text me any subject matter or whatever, and I can always deal with that next week, Friday or another Friday. Okay. All these shows are archived at my YouTube channel, so you can actually watch them over and over and over again if you so choose to do so. So I'm about to start in 60 seconds. I'm about to start in 60 seconds. I just want to give everyone an opportunity to come in. We did actually send out information to nearly over 1,000 people. So we expect to have 1 or 2 people. Now, if you're watching this particular program on the website at crgop.com, there should be a little bit of strip at the bottom left that says, click here to come into the conversation. Now, if you come into the conversation, you just go right above my head, and there should be 9 little boxes, and you can click on that, and you go into the Q&A, and you can actually ask me a question within the particular box, or just text me on 07956872141. Now, this show is only for 1 hour, so we don't have time to waste, because time is money. Time is life. Time never returns back to us. So it's important that we use it as wisely as we can. So wherever you're watching from, if you're watching from your mobile phone or your iPad or from your computer screen, welcome. Because again, I want to say before I get started, you can ask me any question you like, and I'll be more than happy to address any questions that you may have. Well, it doesn't matter what the subject is, but generally speaking, the subject I'm looking to cover tonight is personal development tips, techniques, ideas, principles, and strategies for our own personal development and also interacting with other people. So over the last 30 years, I've picked up a few techniques, a few ideas, a few principles and strategies that I don't mind sharing for free. Freely I receive, so freely I give. So here we go. Now, I'm going to start with showing you my screen so you can actually see a particular screenshot that I have. And I want to start with this particular phrase, in fact. And I think it's a very powerful one. And I want to tell you where it comes from. There's a guy called, what's his name? Stephen Covey, actually. Stephen Covey. And Stephen Covey makes a powerful point in his book. He wrote a book called The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. And I strongly recommend you get that book, actually, 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. And what he's really saying is that if you want to really be successful, here are 7 habits that successful people do. And I think it's really powerful. I think point number 4 in that book is one I'm speaking about now, and I want to go back to that particular screenshot that I have here. And in that particular book, he mentions in point number 4, seek first to understand, then be understood, by the other person. So what he's saying here, basically, and I totally agree with this, is to, rather than get people to try and understand you first, seek first to understand other people. Here, let's say you're in a difficult conversation, or you're in a conversation, whatever conversation that may be, whether difficult or not difficult. If you put yourself in a position where you're trying to understand the other person first, and you try to understand them, then you put yourself in a much better position that when you come to be understood, people will listen to you and will actually give attention to what you have to say. So I strongly recommend that you seek first to understand. Seek first to understand what the person is saying before you try to get them to understand you. I think that's a very, very good tip. That may save you your marriage, in fact. That may save you certain relationships that you may have that are very important to you. Oftentimes, when we get into conversations, whether it be a heated argument or not, what we tend to do basically, we want everyone to listen to us, isn't it? Isn't that true? We want people to listen to us rather than us listening to them. Now, there is a proverbial statement actually that backs this up, and I think the wise man Solomon contributed to this when he said that. I'm going to try and remember it first. Whoever answers a matter before they understand it is not wise. In fact, he says, you know, it's shame and folly, means that you're really very foolish. If you answer a matter, you answer and give answers to a particular situation before you fully understand the thing, then he says that you are not very wise. You're rather very foolish or very stupid. So I would strongly recommend that you strongly put yourself in a position where you are seeking first to understand other people rather than trying to get them to understand you. And let me just make a last point in this. You know, it's like being in a heated debate or discussion or argument with your spouse, with your son, your daughter, your friend, etc. And you really want that person to listen to you. You really want them to shut up and listen to you. What I'm advising you and the tip I'm giving you is this, is no, seek first to understand the other person. Put yourself in a position to say, you know what, let me understand you. I'm going to ask you certain questions. I'm going to try my best to understand you before I try and get you to understand me. And I think you might find that that might add great value to every relationship that you have if you seek first to understand. I think that's a great tip. Now I'm going to move on now to another tip, which, and again, I want to say, if you have any questions whatsoever, and you know you want to ask me, etc., please, please, please don't hesitate to actually ask me that. Okay, so please, please, please ask a question. And I'll be able to share that with you. Now, I want to move on to something which I think is so powerful. I'm going to try and go through it as quickly as I can. And I don't know if you've ever been on what I would call a listening skills course, but yeah, I'm going to just give you a brief moment, if you like, of 6 tips of listening. Now, we're talking about seeking first to understand other people, seeking first to understand. I want to put myself in a position where I understand the person far, far better than before. I'm going to put myself in that position to understand the person. So I want to share this tip with you because I think this is a very powerful tip of how you can listen more effectively. So here we go. Skills for effective listening. Number 1 is look interested. Whenever you're talking to somebody, is look interested. You know, prove to the person that they are the most important person in the world right there and then. Don't answer the phone. Don't sign letters. Don't continue working on the computer. All you do basically is give them your undivided attention. So look interested. Okay? Look at them in their face if you have to. Eye-to-eye contact, and give them acknowledgement responses like, I hear what you're saying. Excellent point, and so on. Point number 2, ask lots of questions. Inquire with questions. You see, this is very, very important that you do this, because if you really want to understand what the other person is saying, ask lots of questions. You can ask open questions, probing questions, closed questions, searching questions. It's entirely up to you what questions you need to ask. But you want to ask lots of questions because that will give you a much better picture of what the person is saying. Number 3, stay on target. Don't allow yourself to be manipulated or sidetracked. Don't try to deal with more than 1 or 2 things at a time. I suggest you deal with just 1 thing at a time. So stay in course. Don't be sidetracked. As I said before, don't be manipulated by what people are saying or even doing, but stay focused, stay on track. Test your understanding. And this is a very, very powerful, important point, because you are listening to the person. You want to make sure that you understand what they're saying. So you may want to repeat what they've said in your own words or in your own language, okay? You might give them responses such as, so what you're saying is, or if I understand you correctly, what you're saying is this. And just repeat what they're saying in your own words. This will give the person an understanding that you really are listening or you understand. And if you don't understand, they will very much correct you. The next one is to evaluate the message. And this is a very, very powerful point, basically. You want to evaluate the message. Now, the message is going to come through to you in three ways, in terms of your body language, your tone of voice, and also the words that you speak. Don't forget that. The message will come to you through the body language, through the tone of voice, and also through the words that they speak. Now, I don't have time to go through the statistics, but your body language and your tone of voice gives around 93% of the information that you're communicating, not through the words. Words are only around 7%. So through the body language and tone of voice, that's 93% of your communication to that person. Now, I'm going to share with you, and I just need to come back to the screen on this. I'm going to stop sharing the screen for a moment. You need to really catch a hold of this. I'm about to share with you what I believe is the hardest thing on planet Earth to do. Now, I'm sharing with you in a very, very quick time 6 powerful tips of how to listen more effectively. Look interested, inquire with question, stay on target, test your understanding, and evaluate the message. You see, I have it so engraved in my mind and in my heart and my spirit. I can remember it 24/7. You know, no matter how much I've repeat this to companies over and over so many times, I'm living it, breathing it, and all kind of stuff. Now, I'm about to share with you the hardest thing to do on planet Earth. I don't care what anyone tell me. This, I believe, is got to be the hardest thing on planet Earth for anyone to do. And I'm about to share that with you. Welcome, Mike. Great to have you, sir. Great to have you. Appreciate you being here. And as I've said to everyone before, if you want to text me, you can actually text me on my mobile phone, or indeed, you can actually send me over there a text. Now, if you're watching from the website, then you can click the strip on the bottom left, which takes you into this particular conversation section, where you can actually comment on the inside. Okay, just above my head there is 9 little boxes, and that will take you into the Q&A, and you could ask me any question that you like. Okay, so great to have you. Yes, Mike, I want to say this again. This is research actually that's been done, research that shows that when we're communicating with another person, especially face-to-face communication, that 58% of the communication that's going across is through the body language. A lot of people don't realize that their body is speaking, their mouth, their appearance, their gesture, their posture, their voice, their eyes. They don't realize that it's communicating to the person. It's given 58%. Your tone of voice, the way you say what you say, is 38% through research, and only 7% is words. So 93% of what we are actually communicating to the other side is done subconsciously. We're sometimes not aware that we're actually doing that. So let me go right back then to what I believe is the hardest thing on planet Earth to do. Look, the hardest thing on planet Earth to do, and that is to neutralize or control your feelings. To neutralize or control your feelings. This, I have discovered, is the hardest thing on planet Earth to do. How do we control our feelings, especially when we are in a heated debate, especially when the debate is so strong or so heated? How do we control ourselves? It's easy to make mobile phones these days, isn't it? We now have, what I have here is the iPhone 6 Plus. And amazingly, it's not really even a phone. It's a computer by itself. It can do so many different things. It's 128 megabytes. It's in fact more powerful than my PC. That's how amazing this is. We can now send men or women to the moon. We can actually fly people around the world. But how do we control our feelings? This is an amazing thing. So here, what I've shared with you, the 6 tips, and I want to go back to that again. Let's go back to those 6 tips. If I can get back to that, then I will do so. The 6 tips that I refer to as the key to listening. I've been using these now for approximately 25 years. I've been teaching it to companies all around the country and certain parts of the world, how to be an effective listener. Look interested. Prove to the person that they're the most important person that you're listening to at that particular time. Don't sign contracts, don't sign checks, don't do anything else, but give them your undivided attention. Ask lots of questions, open questions, probing questions, closed questions, etc. Stay on target. Don't be distracted. Don't be sidetracked or manipulated. Test your understanding. You could be asking the person, so what you're saying is, if I understand you correctly, you're saying this, and you're paraphrasing or repeating in your own words. Evaluate the message. Remember, the message comes through your body language, through your tone of voice, and also through the words you speak. And as I said before, the hardest thing on planet Earth, I believe, to do is to neutralize or to control our feelings. Controlling our feelings is so very difficult to do, and it's amazing actually. And I would say this, that a person could reach 70 years of age and still have not mastered their own feelings. They have not mastered their own thought processes. And so it's a very, very sad thing that many people have found themselves in that position where they're not able to control their own feelings. Now, if you have any questions around that, please don't hesitate to let me have them. I'm here on 07956872141. So if you're listening on your mobile, you can still text me. If you're listening on your iPad, you can still text me. Or if you're in the chat room, you can actually leave me a message. I think it's over there somewhere, and I will pick that up from you. If you don't, I will just continue. I hope that was useful. In fact, the actual points as it relates to listening skills. And as I said before, many of us, basically, we have never been to a listening skills course. We've never been taught how to listen effectively. And unfortunately, basically, we have not mastered that at all. Now, I want to share with you actually something else. And I think this is a useful thing to share with you. So I'm going to go back to sharing my screen with you. I want to say welcome to everyone. I know that there's quite a few people watching. If you're on the inside of the actual broadcast, that means that you're inside here somewhere. Above my head is 9 little boxes. You can actually click that. It will take you into the Q&A. If you're watching from the website or from YouTube, you can actually click the link to the bottom left and it will take you into the conversation. If you're watching from your iPhone, iPad. So thank you everyone for coming. We've just got 45 minutes left. Well, not even 45, but 43 minutes left. And I want to use that the best way possible. Now, I've shared 2 things already. I'm not going to go back to those because you can actually watch the recording straight after. It will be up on the website or at YouTube or Google. You can find that it's automatically saved. Okay, right. Let me just share my screen again. And I want to share with you something that I believe is so powerful that it's something that I share with everyone when I go to a company. I always share this. I call it my signature. So I want to share with you my signature, and here it is. I want you to look at this. Develop your ASK, attitude, skills, and knowledge. Develop your attitude, skills, and knowledge. Develop your ASK. Now, let me just come back a bit so I could make these points so you can actually see me before I start this. Listen, this given. Every job on the planet are based around ASK, attitude, skills, and knowledge. Every job on the planet. There is not a job on the planet that is not based around attitude, skills, and knowledge. Whether you're the prime minister listening right now, whether you're the president, whether or not you are Richard Branson, whether or not you're a cleaner, you work for McDonald's, you sweep the streets, it doesn't really matter. Every job on the planet based around ASK, attitude, skills, and knowledge. Attitude, how do you get on with people and with yourself? Skill, do you know how to do the job? Knowledge, do you have the knowledge of what the job is all about? And so on and so forth. Attitude, skills, and knowledge. Now, The more you develop your ASK, the more you develop your attitude, skills, and knowledge, the more money you make, the more powerful you become, the more confident you become, and the more people want to be in your presence. Let me say this again. The more you develop your ASK, your attitude, your skills, and the knowledge, is the more money you make, the more powerful you become, the more confident you become, and the more people want to be in your presence. Known fact. Let me say this also. The more you develop your skills and your attitude and your knowledge, you'll be amazed with yourself. You'll be amazed at your achievement. I'm telling you, you'll be amazed at your achievement. So if you develop your ASK, you're really on the way of developing what I call your potential. Okay, so it's very, very important. Now, you can have the greatest skill in the world. Let me go back to the screen now. Let me go back to the screen, because this is so powerful that you don't want to miss this point. You really don't want to miss it. Now, you can have all the skills in the world. I don't know if I can get a pen here. Let me see if I can get a pen that would, a pointer that would be useful if I can get. Let me use a highlighter here. You can have all the skills in the world. You see, I'm just making that in yellow. Okay. You can have also all the knowledge in the world. Okay. But if your attitude stinks, if your attitude stinks, you don't have a good attitude, listen to this carefully. Nobody would want to work with you, play with you, go to church with you, or live with you. I think you need to see me for this one. I really need to bring this one across. I just want to bring this point across really importantly. You can have all the skills in the world. You can have all the knowledge in the world. But if your attitude stinks, nobody wants to live with you, work with you, play with you, or even go to church or the mosque or do any worship with you. Nobody. Okay? I would rather work with somebody who has a great attitude with a willingness to learn than to work with somebody that has all the skills and knowledge in the world, but they disrespect, disregard, don't treat people well, look down at people. I don't want to work with that person. I don't care how much skills they have, how much knowledge they know. I'm really not interested. And that's why attitude is so powerful and so important. Welcome, my sister. We got someone here listening. Welcome. Don't forget, you can ask me any question you want. If you want to ask me a question on the text, and do some just reading also if there's any. Okay. Excellent. Thank you very much for that, Mike. Now, the point here is with regards to attitude, skills, and knowledge, is that I know so many people who've got great skills and they've got lots of knowledge, but their attitude is not really, it's just not great. It's just not great. Okay. So what I want to suggest you do is I go back to my screen. Let me go back to my screen, and then you can see the points again. Now, what you want to do basically is to develop your ASK, your attitude, skills, and knowledge. Now, it has been said that success, 60% of success is having a great attitude, and 40% of success is skills and knowledge. Now, you can see straight away how important attitude is. Attitude is really, really important. And I suggest you have a great attitude. Now, you can have a great attitude. Listen to this carefully. Let me see if I can change my pen color if I can. I don't even know if I can. I'm sure I can. Let me change it to green. Now, you can have a great attitude to other people, but you have a bad attitude to yourself. Now, you see, this is a very important point. You can have a great attitude towards people. You love people, you treat people well, you respect people, but you don't respect yourself. You don't love yourself. You don't treat yourself well. Well, that's still a bad attitude, and nobody wants to live with you, work with you, play with you, or even go worshiping with you, because your attitude ain't good. So you need to have a good attitude towards other people, and you need to have a great attitude towards yourself. And I want to share with you 3 powerful ways in which you can actually develop your ASK. Okay. First one, they all start with E, and you may want to make a note of this because I'm not going to um, type them up. So you may want to make a note. They all start with E. Okay. So I'm going to come back around, and so you can actually see me as I mention this. Now, this is how I want to share with you how I got this. I went to a company. I was doing some work with a company called Cisco. Cisco is probably the second largest computer company in the world. You can't actually get on the internet without going through one of their router. That's how big this company is. They're around 100,000 in terms of employees, about staff and so on. And I did a lot of work for them in stress management and advanced presentation skills, and I studied that company quite a great deal. And I was mesmerized by this company. I went to Jordan. I went to different parts of Europe. I went to this country in the head office. And I'm just mesmerized by this company and its excellence. It's just out of this world. And I discovered 3 ways in which they develop their people. And I've been saying this to people in the church and, in my own personal life, and I've adapted that in my own life. And this is what they use for the 3 E's. Number 1 is E, education. Education. You've got to, how many books did you read last year? How many tapes did you listen to? How many videos did you watch? Now, let's say, for example, you want to be a chef, or you want to be a barber, or you want to be a trainer, or you want to be a preacher, or you want to be a pilot. Well, in the field that you're trying to master, how many books did you read last year? How many audio tapes did you listen to? How many videos did you watch? How many classes did you attend? If your answer is 0, I want to tell you what Dr. Jim Rohn would say to that. If your number is 0 or just 1 or 2, and he would say, that's not a good number. You see, this is a numbers game. I want you to know that. This is a numbers game. How many books did you read? How many classes did you attend? How many tapes did you listen to? How many videos did you watch? You see, I can't begin to tell you how many tapes and videos I've watched. I mean, it's in just in 1 year. It's just amazing. It amazes me that I have time to do that, because I want to be the best in my field. I want to be one of the best that I can possibly be. I'm not competing with anybody. I'm just competing with Errol Williams. I want to be the best Errol Williams there ever was. That's just my goal, to be the best me. Now, you got to educate yourself. I would suggest this to you. This is what top professionals do. This is a tip by top professionals. All top professionals, I've heard, spend 10% of what they earn educating themselves, developing themselves. That's a very good tip, I think. Develop yourself. Spend 10% of what you earn. Now, you might say 10% is too much. Well, 5%, 2%. It's entirely up to you what you choose to do. The second E is exposure. Exposure. The more you expose yourself to different people, different culture, different food, different situation, the more you expand your personal universe. And this is very, very important. I would recommend, don't go to the same place on holiday all the time. Nothing wrong with going there several times. But, if you've been to Jamaica all the time, why not go to India next time, or maybe to China next time? See, what you're doing basically is you're exposing yourself to new cultures, new people, new dimension. In fact, it opens up a new horizon for you. And I strongly recommend that you venture into new territories. I'm telling you, it really is amazing. I've traveled in certain countries and looked at their billboards, looked at their TV, looked at their magazine, looked at the culture, looked at the people, talked to them, get a little bit of tip from them and so on. And I come back far wiser than I was before I went. This is amazing. And I would strongly recommend, in fact, that you expose yourself to different people, different culture, different times, different situation. Final third E is culture. Now, not culture, sorry, E. The final E is experience. Something just happened which just distracted me. So the final E is experience. Experience. Remember I said before, first one is education. Make sure you're reading enough books. Make sure you're watching enough tapes and videos. Make sure you're attending enough seminars and sitting down with enough gurus in your particular field. Next E, is exposure. Expose yourself to different people, different culture, different food, different ventures. I'm telling you, it will expand your universe in ways you cannot believe. And don't forget, the name of the game is experience. Do it. You can't get experience unless you do the thing. Okay? And this is very, very important that you do the thing. So what I'm talking about here is ASK. Develop your ASK. Attitude, skills, and knowledge. The more you develop them, the greater will be your outcome. Remember, success is based upon 60% success is towards your attitude, 40% of success is towards your skills and knowledge. Can you see how powerful the actual attitude thing is? Very, very powerful. Very, very, very powerful indeed. And I want to strongly recommend develop your ASK. Develop your ASK, attitude, skills, and knowledge. I want to suggest actually you do that every day. Do it every day. There should be something that you're doing, because remember this: the return on your investment, your ROI, return on investment, will amaze you. I'm amazed every day at my own self. I don't tell people this. I'm amazed at my own self, the achievements and some of the things that happen in my own personal life. But I really shouldn't be amazed, because if you put the time in, it will work for you. Okay, welcome again, everybody. Thank you so very much, and thank you for listening. Whether you're listening on the iPhone or your smartphone or your iPad or so. I like that. My 10% is just enough, I think. The interesting thing about it is that some people might have said to me in the past, 10% is too much. And my response to them is no problem at all. If it's 10% is too much, then just do 2%. But you know what I also say to them, think of it this way. If you spend 10% on yourself, the return on your investment later is going to be greater. I mean, if you invest 2% versus 10%, your return later is going to be greater for your 10%. Just do the maths and you will see for yourself. Okay. If there are no questions, I'm going to go on to the next point. We've got 28 minutes left to go. And I just want to share as much as I can with you. Excellent. So let me therefore then share another tip. As I said, if you have any comments that you would like to make, please don't hesitate straight away to get it to me. All right. I'm looking for something, in fact, actually, that I want to share with you, because I think this is just so awesome. So I'm going to wait until I find it, and then I'm going to share that with you, because I know it's worth waiting for it. Okay, here we go. Where are you? It's not on this particular slide. I'm going to make sure I find it. I'm going through so many slides here. It's unbelievable. And but if you have a specific question that you want, then you can actually just go ahead and ask me, and I'll be more than happy to tell that to you. Well, I found it. Well, that's not the one I want. So I'm going to wait a little while longer until I found the one I'm looking for. All right, let me close this particular file. I want to say welcome again to everyone. I'm going to see if there's any comments. If anyone has any comments. Excellent. Right. Now, I haven't found the one I want to give to you yet, but I will do before the time is out, and I will give that to you. Right. This is one I want to share with you, actually. And I think this is powerful. And then I'll come back to the one I'm looking for. I'll look for that in a moment. Now, I just want to give you, this is actually, I would say, this particular point. It's just a three tip point that I find so, okay, let me just come out of discard that. Let me come out of that. Yep. There we go. Back again. See, I've got too many files open. That's the problem. And into, okay, that's the one I want to come out of. Excellent. Perfect. 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 Actually, I was actually sharing with you before in terms of statistics. Actually, let me just share this with you, actually, because I think that would just to show you in terms of communication. So I'm just going to share my screen with you. And this is something that I was saying before in terms of communication, in fact, which I thought was interesting. Remember I was talking to you about body language and tone of voice and words. This is a research actually that was done, and this is really, really true, that when you're communicating, and this is very, very important, when you're communicating, 55% of what you're saying with your body, that is from your body language. 55% of what you're communicating is from your body language. You probably don't even know you're doing it. 38% is from your tone of voice. So as you are actually speaking, it's the way you're saying what you're saying that people are actually picking up. And finally, 7% is words. Only 7% of what you're actually saying is words. Isn't that amazing? Only 7%. And oftentimes we get so caught up in what's being said rather than caught up in the way it's being said. So I thought I would share that with you, because that is absolutely, when I first found that out, I was blown away, okay? Blown away with shock, okay? Now, let me see if I can get my mouse to work how I want it to work. And then I will come on to this. Where is it now gone? Okay. Don't forget, you can ask me any question. I just want to give you the things that are really important, and there it is. Okay. Now, I call this actually dealing with identified problems. How do you deal with problems? I mean, this to me is a beautiful way of dealing with problems, and I want to share with you, because we all have problems, don't we? We all have problems, and this is my method actually, and I think it's really, really powerful personally. Number one, when you got problems in your life, or you got challenges or whatever, is you three options: fix it, live with it, or leave it. Okay. Now it's interesting actually, because many of us we don't fix it. We don't fix it, and we don't do nothing about it. Okay. So you either fix it, live with it, or just leave it. And it's interesting because there's lots of challenges in life that they just go away. They just have a natural death, don't they? They just, you know, you don't have to do anything about it. They just go away, isn't it, somehow? But some of them you have to fix it. You have to fix it. And some you have to live with it. Okay? You just have to live with it. There's nothing that you can do about it. You know, you either fix it, you live with it, or you just leave it. And I've had to fix a lot. Some of them I just leave them alone. Let me say this to you. This was given to me by Bishop T.D. Jakes, and I thought it's such a powerful point about dealing with problems. Never go to war where there is no spoil to gain. I think that is such, man, that saved me my marriage, I think. Oh, that saved me all my relationship. Never go to war where there's nothing to gain. Why are you arguing if there's nothing to gain? Why are you fussing and fighting if there's nothing to gain? There's nothing to gain, leave it. I think sometimes what happens is some of us, we are so prone to arguments. We are just so prone to fighting that we will argue about everything. Well, I'm getting older and I'm realizing, nah, I ain't got time for that. You know, when I was 15 and 20, I had lots of time for that. Now I'm finding I ain't got time. You know, I'm 50, 55, 56 this year, and I just ain't got time for that. So some of them I fix it. I just fix it because I have to fix it. That one needs fixing. Some I have to just live with it, because you can't change people, can you? The only person you can change is you. The only person you can change is you. And some of them I just leave them. I just don't do nothing about them. But if I need to do something about them, then I will do something about that. Okay, so very, very, very important. Now, I want to share this with you. If I can get my mouse to work the way I want it to work, because what I need to do is close that file down and come out of that and then go into this one. Now, I want to share this with you because I think this is so awesome. You got to understand. I think this is, to me, such a powerful point. So let me go back to my screen share and share this with you. I want you to see this for yourself. You know, just see this particular point. Now, 3 things that are out to destroy you here, and there is what I call the enemy of life. Christians call the devil. Religious people call, you know, evil spirits and so on. Now, believe it or not, there's somebody out to destroy your life. You know, when I say somebody, a person or a spirit, whether you believe it or not, isn't it amazing that life seems to be against everybody in a sense? What I mean by that is, if you don't brush your teeth, it goes rotten. If you don't wash yourself, you know, if you don't clean, isn't it amazing that we all are going through the same thing? There's decay and so on. And I believe, me personally, that there is a force out there we call evil spirits, and they're out to steal, kill, and destroy your life. And this is an absolute amazing thing to me, that you have to protect yourself, that you don't get yourself destroyed. You know, if you look at it realistically, there are burglars out there. That's why we have to protect our house and put up all these kind of you know, protection, you know, against thieves. We have to hide things. We have to lock up our cars because there are thieves out there trying to steal our things. That's just facts of life. You don't even have to believe in religion to know this. You don't even have to believe in anything spiritual. There are forces, there are people, human beings, if you like. Let's use human beings for that matter, that are out to try and steal everything you have. You know, if you leave your house, you go on holiday and left your home, your door open, when you come back, you probably won't have any furniture. In fact, you probably can't even get back in your house because maybe people have come in and have squatted in your place. Are you following me? So there's a force out there to steal everything you have. Well, the same force is trying to kill you. And it's interesting, actually, because we may not believe this, but it's true. You know, they're out there trying to kill you. You know, kill you with the food you eat, or the food you don't eat, the drink you drink, or the drink you don't drink, or with drugs. Isn't it amazing that we have to be protecting ourselves against all these different forces out there? You don't have to believe in spiritual elements to believe this. Actually, you can just see by even in the air we breathe, the toxic elements in the air that we breathe, and we're dying younger, you know, and so on. And also, the force is out to destroy your life. Steal, kill, destroy. Don't forget that. Steal, kill, destroy. Don't forget that. Now, for those of you who are biblical, you will find a verse of scripture like John 10:10, and John chapter 10, verse 10. The thief comes to steal, to kill, and to destroy. That's what he comes. Jesus calls him the thief, and he comes to steal, kill, and destroy. And you don't even have to be spiritual to believe this. Someone just said they email me some questions. So I'm going to try and open up my email. I'm coughing here, and you believe it, I don't even have a drink around here to help me out. So let me, while my email is opening up, see if I can find another part. I hope that's useful, actually. Steal, kill, and destroy. I'm still looking for that pointer that I was talking about earlier, and I will find it. Believe you me, I will find it. And if I don't find it to show you, then I will actually speak on it personally myself. So let me See, there's only one slide I have left, so it's got to be in this one. Okay, let me see if I could find those questions. I can't believe I can't find my slide. And I am coughing. Okay, let me yeah, here is something I wanted to share with you. I think this might be it. All right. Let me therefore then I call it the circle of change, actually. Circle of change. Let me go to my screenshot so you can see this. And I want you to notice, actually, in terms of what I call circle of change and or circle of influence, is 3 particular circles. And I want you to notice which circles are bigger and which circle are smaller. Notice the things I can change. That particular circle is far smaller. Okay, far smaller. You can see that. Okay, things I can change. Then the things I can influence, you can't change them necessarily. You can see how big that is. Really, it's much bigger than the other one. And notice the things I can't change. Wow, things that affect me, but I can't do nothing about it. You know, there are things that affect you that you can't do nothing about. You know, things, for example, the weather. You might be able to influence the government, but you may not be able to change them and so on, certain policies and so on. Now, I share this slide with you because there are people who get frustrated in life, and I say to people, why are you getting frustrated over things you can't change? You can't change it. You can't change the weather, so why get frustrated? The weather is the weather. You know, it's cold or hot or whatever. Why get frustrated over the weather? You can't change the weather. You can't change death. When death comes, that's it. Can't change it. And you know, we mourn and we are disappointed and we are angry and upset at the loss of our loved ones. Can't change anything. You know, one thing I've come to realize that I can't change, and this revolutionized my life and changed me forever. When I discovered this, I was born again. When I discovered I couldn't change people. Oh my days, what a day of rejoicing that was for me. When I discovered, oh my gosh, I can't change people. I could only change me. I could influence them. I could try to influence them, but I can't change it. I just have to accept people for who they were. You know, you decide you're going to be this way. And not that, you know, I could try and influence you and try to persuade you, but that was it. So my point is quite simply this. Your circle of change or circle of influence, the things that you can change, is smaller than the things you can influence. Things you can influence doesn't mean you can change them. It just means that you can influence those things for the better or for the worst, if possible. But then those things that affect you that you can do nothing about is a bigger circle. I want to strongly recommend, if you want to live a stress-free life, I strongly recommend, if there are things that you can change and you want to change them, then stop fussing and fighting about them. Change them. Make a decision and change them. Don't worry about it. Just change it. Make sure you do your research. Make sure you study very carefully about what it is you're going to do, and then just make the change. Make the change. So don't frustrate yourself about those things. Okay, let me see if I can address these questions, and then we go from. I have listened to your order of commitment, God first, etc. Over the years, I have noticed that some pastors' children went astray, including prison. I'm not blaming the pastors. However, could it be that a lot of time was spent outside the home helping others or when maybe some time needed to be spent inside a home. What lessons have you learned personally from pastors and ministers you know personally? Very good question. Now, as a, and it doesn't have to be a pastor. In fact, you don't have to be a pastor in this particular position, but this specific question is relating to pastors. But you don't have to be a pastor. You got to have the right balance of home, work, etc. Whether work be work or your church life, and you have to have a right balance, because some of us, we have more time with church or work and less time with family, and some of us have more time with family and less time with work and church, and therefore we have an imbalance. Are you with me? We have an imbalance, and so on. So what we need to do is to find the right balance. And you're right, yes, that there are some pastors who have neglected, and it's not just pastors, it's parents who have neglected their children, and as a result of that, the children have gone astray. I think the proverb says that a child left to his own will bring you shame. And then this is such a powerful verse. A child left to himself will bring you shame. And so if a child is left to bring up himself or herself, then it is possible, not always the case, but it is possible, most the case, that that child will bring shame to his parents. So my experience have told me this, that I have seen both spectrum, if you like, of both scale, where not enough time, well, in the first instance, where too much time was spent in church and not enough time spent in the home. And we have seen, a lot of the children who have done that. But on the other hand, if I were to use Bishop T.F. Poorman, I think he would be my best example here, is that this man spent an enormous amount of time in church, enormous. But you see, he had a wife who gave that balance, and she was at home with the children, and all those children are now today Christians, and everything worked out well. And that's why I would say, every home is going to have its own decision, its own rules, its own regulation, and not just, Christian home. Every home has to have its own regulation, if you like, as to how best they're going to actually do that. So it's very, very important, I believe, that there be balance, because what you see here between husband and wife was a perfect working situation. I want to name another family who had this, I think, similar amount of children. I think it's 5 in this case. And it's my Uncle Leo, and his wife, Avis. And they too, he spent a lot of time as deacon in the church, but she was at home, keeping the children. He would come home when necessary and do what he has to do. And all the children are saved. All of them are doing very, very well. Why? Because they had husband and wife was working together. And that's what must happen. If husband and wife is not working together, and they're working against each other, and they're both looking for their career, are you with me? And the children are left to develop themselves, then you're going to have a problem, a major problem, in fact. So I think there has to be balance, and there has to be a working relationship between father and mother. That's where it really is, because the fact of the matter is, many women have worked by themselves, worked on their own, and have brought up some of the most amazing children. A lot of women have done that. Husband have died, or husband have gone off with somebody else, and they have been left to work and bring up the children. They've done a fantastic job. So if I have a home, which I have, and my wife is working with the children, and I'm able to go out and do the ministry for the Lord and then come back in and so on, it's fantastic. It's absolutely fantastic relationship. So the key is relationship and working together and so on. But yes, we've seen disaster, and I don't know what the disasters are, because I can't generalize. Does that make sense? I would have to look at each home situation. But then again, we've had parents, husband and wife, both Christians, live together, spend more time at home than they do at church, and their children still turn out to be worse than, still end up in prison, still end up doing some terrible things. So there is no guarantee that the child is going to actually turn out the way that we want the child to go. So you could have be the perfect husband and wife and the perfect Christian and bring up your child and then bam. I'll give you a classic example. I was listening to a father pour out his heart, and trained up his son, and the son became a pastor in the ministry, and they were so proud of him. They were so glad, the husband and wife. And this is the father telling me, but he's telling me with a broken heart. And he said, recently my son has left the faith, and he has left his wife, and he's now gay. What went wrong? He has left his wife. He has left the pastoral ministry that he was involved in. Perfect upbringing, if you want to call it that. But now he's gay. And the father's heart is torn up. As he talked to me, it's just torn apart. And these there are no guarantees that you can do your very best for your child. Take them to Sunday school, train them, pray. Now, we do have a scripture in Proverbs 6, Proverbs 22, verse 6, where it says, train up a child in the way he should go, and when he's old, he will not depart from it. Okay, let me see something here. I hope that makes sense. I'm trying to find something here before I disappear into the darkness. Okay, let me see something here. Okay. Discard that. Don't save. Okay, I think that's going to be me for the night. Let me just check and see. Still got 4 minutes. If you do have a question or a comment that you would like to ask me, please don't hesitate. There was something I had to show you, and can you believe I cannot find it? And I don't remember it fully off heart. I really had to show it to you. Okay, then. Next time. Right, I want to end on this point. I want to end with this point, and it's a point I made earlier. I think it goes right back to where we start, and I want to thank everyone for coming. And I just want to share this with you. Just want to share my screen as well. And we'll be back here on Monday, in fact, but there will be Bible studies, Matthew chapter 18, I believe. I'm back here next week, Friday, with some other more tips from Errol Williams and so on and so forth. But here we go, in closing. This is a proverbial statement, in fact, by the wisest man that ever lived, a man called Solomon. And he says this: listen before you answer. If you don't, you are being stupid and insulting. I mean, this is absolutely amazing. We spent a little bit of time talking about listening skill. Remember that? Look interested, inquire with question. Let me see if I could get my pen here. I think it was look interested, inquire with question, stay on target, test your understanding, evaluate the message. And the hardest thing on planet Earth to do was to neutralize your feeling. And here, the wisest man. We're not talking about any person here. We're talking about the man, King Solomon, who was a son of David, who was the wisest man that ever lived in history. And he says this: listen before you answer. I think that is such a profound statement. Listen before you answer. If you don't, you are being stupid and insulting. I think that in itself is an awesome statement. Listen before you answer. If you don't, you are being stupid and insulting. And I often have one of my daughters who often while I'm talking to her, I'm halfway through explaining myself, and she would interrupt me and give me the answer. And I would stop her and said, "My gosh, you are a genius. You're ever so clever that you're able to give me the answer before I ask the question. My goodness, you are amazing." What I'm really trying to tell her is, you're really being stupid and insulting me. That's really what I'm really trying to tell her. I suggest you listen before you answer. If you don't, you're being stupid and insulting. Well, I want to say thank you. It's 11 o'clock, and I decided that it would only be 1 hour. I hope that made sense, and I hope that there were some points from tonight that you will take away and it wasn't a waste of your time. You can actually watch this recording straight after at the website cogop.com, cogop.com, or you can actually go to the channel, YouTube channel. Just look up Errol A. Williams or Errol Williams, and the channel will come up and so on. But I want to say thank you so much. It's been a joy sharing this 1 hour with you. And I hope that you receive something that would be of benefit to you, your family, friends, and to the work you do. Well, take care of yourself and your family. Until next time. Bye for now.